Today is Monday, February the 1st, and as we expected, the market did bounce back because it had been an oversold position. So we've seen that happen now from Thursday to Friday, to Wednesday to Thursday, Thursday to Friday, Friday to Monday. So when we fall below the oversold McClellan oscillator, we tend to bounce back. We also tend to jitter around that point for a while, look back historically, see how many days we spent below the oversold. But actually, we just went down. We didn't go up and then back over it again. Neither did we here. Here we didn't either. Here it looks like we just came up to the oversold line and then continued to move up. Here we had a pattern that looks a little bit like today. And of course, this was the coronavirus period and all bets are off there. And here's an example where we went below, above, chattered, went below and above. So we still could chatter as long as this whole GameStop thing continues and the Reddit group starts targeting, today it was silver, we're going to see some choppiness, which means we're going to be on either side of the McClellan oscillator, one line or another. We're not going to make any definite momentum moves up or down. I think we're going to chop. Well, let's take a look at the volatility in the market, which did pull back today. It had quite a range. It was as high as 34. It was as low as 29, but it didn't finish off much different from its open, but it did finish lower. The SPX was rejected by the 8, but was supported by the 50, as you can see here. And the Chiku span, we noted on Thursday, had come down to the candle. It did bounce Friday, and it bounced again. This was Friday, and it bounced today. So again, Chiku span finding support on the top of the candles is something that we look for quite often, and we see it. And we're going to see it in spades in another stock that we talked about for the first time, PRGS. So we'll get to that in a second. So Apple had a bit of a, not quite a doji day, sort of a hanging man, iron cross kind of day, but it finished above this candle, which is good to see. And its momentum, RSI bar was green, meaning that it was more active than the rest of the average general market. We're still above the 50, but we were rejected by the 8. Z, we're not going to follow Z anymore because this pattern has, well, we might, but we won't spend a lot of time with it. But this pattern has closed out. This is a Gartley. Gartley is defined as X to A, has a recovery back to 61.8, goes down to somewhere in this region here, but definitely can't go lower than the A, and then we'll finish where D is 78.6% of XA, and today it happened perfectly. Square had a pretty good day today. Let's take a look at the volume because that's always important. The volume was pretty low. Friday's selling volume was a little bit above the 20-day moving average, which has been the case for most of its days. Today was a little low, but it did have a bounce back. And let's see, where were we? Anyways, let's take this out of here because we're going to watch now for resistance is on the 20-day simple moving average, but we've also got 61.8% of this Fibonacci that we're looking at, of this little downward move here. But we are looking for a recovery back to this previous high. I'd like to see Square making a higher high, which would take it above 238.55, but I think it's going to have a tough time making an all-time high of 243.31 for a while now. It almost looks like we have a bit of a Gartley pattern here, but we don't, because if this was X and this was A, B would be higher than X. That could be a type of a shark pattern, but I'm not ready to look at that right now. NIO, disappointing today, had a wide-ranging day of $4.75, was actually up for a while, but ended up finishing off at the end of the day just by 5 cents. But a little bit disappointed. Do we see anything in the chart here? not particularly. It's still a great stock. I'm still in a covered position. Now, PRGS, which is a new one that we talked about in a special video on Friday that was brought up by Zach. If you look in the comments from Friday, you'll see why he likes the stock. So I thought I would take a look at it, and we found some interesting things. First of all, we found, let's zoom this out here, we found this almost Gartley pattern working, and it completed. Now, what we see in patterns that are Gartley-like and repeat themselves is that in between one Gartley pattern, and there are many, the most common are the BAT, which is a 38% retracement of XA, the Gartley itself, which is 61.8, and the butterfly, which is 78.6. So once you have XA, if you get a 38, 61, or 78, you're setting yourself up for 3 different types of Gartley patterns. And what you look for is a bottom in the C area. It doesn't necessarily have to be in the bottom, but Motive Wave will calculate that area for you. And you look for a base, and a lot of people just trade CD. They only trade Gartley patterns. That's true of, Ann Garber. Look for her on Google and follow her if you're interested in Gartley patterns. She only trades CD patterns in Gartley formations. But we had this finish, and we said what we would look for after that is an ABC. I'm going to show you the ABC, but first I'm also going to show you some other interesting things that happened with PRGS. One is it found support today at the 200 moving average. Let's just get rid of the Ichimoku for the time being, and let's look at the averages. Found support here on the 200. Now let's bring back the Ichimoku where we see other really interesting things. Look at this. The Chiku span gets support on the 50 simple moving average. This was a marker that we put down in the video. We said look for support on the 50. We got it. We said look for support on the 200, which is also the bottom of the cloud, and we got it. But look what this also is. Now let's get rid of the Ichimoku again. Let's just go into there. So there we go. There it is. And what have we got? We've got AB almost equals CD. So let me just grab this and bring it over here. And you can see that the green line is the D. We almost made it to ABCD. We still could go down. Now I bought 100 shares today after the bounce of on the 200, and now I'm prepared to buy more if it goes down and hits the 200 or this green line. And then I'll wait for it to come back over the 200 again, and I'll have said, look, it's finished. It's A, B, C, D, where A, B equals CD. And then I'm going to buy like crazy because we'll be going into a new Gartley pattern. What else do we want to talk? Rocket did its rocket bit, and now it's underperformed the market, but it has stayed above the cloud. CVS, just write it off. It's not interesting. AT&T paid their dividend today, so a lot of that dividend should get reinvested today or tomorrow. It doesn't look like it happened today because it underperformed the market in relative strength, but it could happen tomorrow. And I will be looking to spend my dividend on buying more AT&T if it gets to 28.07. I'm going to give it a few days. If it gets below 28.98, then I will buy. Home Depot up a little bit. Let's take a look just at some of the new stocks now. We have not followed GameStop, but I do want to show you something. This is the volume bars showing you the volume that's been transacted at each of these prices that are visible on the chart. So when we open up the chart, we see that the shape changes. And if we really expand the chart. You can see that the volume is very minimal. So we think that a lot of volume has taken place, but if you go back to September of 2020 through to January 15th, that's where 80% of GameStop's volume has taken place. This is the volume that's taken place by the Reddit people. Minor in compared to the volume that was traded before. But we're looking here at a weekly chart. Let's look at a daily chart. The high volume was on January 22nd, 195 million shares. And that went on for 3 days. What did we have today? We had only 18.8 million shares trading, which makes it almost a normal day, because back here in early January, we were trading 16 million shares. So GameStop is finished. If you're still holding GameStop, you probably don't have anybody left who wants to buy your stock. This is why these are pretty dangerous type of stocks. VERU has broken out of this pattern. I don't know if Trader Stewie, who pointed it out first when it was up here, thought that it might break out here and it didn't. I don't know if he's jumped into it. Take a look at Twitter at Trader Stewie, like the character from one of those comic shows. I've forgotten it. And just see if he's buying into that. DDD, still a beast. Boeing, really held in place now by the cloud. SONO, still trending down in this bull flag here. It's going to end up, it's not going to be a bull flag anymore, really, if it falls below this price right here, because we have to say that's where the flagpole started. So a little bit more of a drop and you won't be interested in that stock anymore. So that's it for today. Went a little bit long, but we can expect the rest of the week to be choppy, but I would think going mainly into the upward direction as we shake off the volatility from Reddit.